Hi, good day. Thank you very much for tuning in to this new episode of the Microdose Diet podcast. So today I have a fabulous guest and he has a great t-shirt. It's Cam Leids. Hi, Cam. How are you?
Hello, Peggy.
So Cam is the host and the creator of a trip sitting podcast. If you have not listened to his podcast yet, I really recommend it. It's really fabulous. And it really focuses on exploring human consciousness and psychedelics. So what's not to love? So Cam, I'm sure you like when I speak about yourself at the third person. So I'll continue that way. So you
I love it.
worked in the tech industry. So another things we have in common before transitioning to the psychedelic space. You grew up in LA, which I didn't think anyone ever did, but anyway. And now you're based in Denver, Colorado, which is definitely a friendlier place, I'm sure, for you. So I asked Perplexity, who is Cam Leids? And I can tell you that Perplexity thinks very highly of you. So it's telling us that you are an entrepreneur, a writer, and a host, and that you aim to bring people together through open conversations about psychedelics and personal growth. So I thought Perplexity did a good job. So here we are. So I am Peggy Van de Plassche. I'm a former banker and venture capitalist. So yes, I used to invest in technology. That's why Cam and I have this background in common. And after I discovered the magic of mushrooms for my own mental health, I realized how powerful psilocybin could be for personal and professional transformation. So I totally changed my career and my life. I wrote a book, tada, The Microdose Diet, the 90-day protocol to help you transform your life. So you can follow me obviously on this podcast, on Substack, LinkedIn, and all this great stuff. So now let's get started, Cam. So how are you today?
I'm doing very well. That was a phenomenal intro. So thank you so much for that.
Well, I'm available for any and every events you're organizing for an intro. But I really want you to talk about your podcast because I said it, I believe it. Your podcast trip setting, is really great. And the tagline, and I'm reading to make sure I am not stating it wrong, exploring what it means to be human. I really like that tagline. So tell us more about the podcast. What are the best insights you learn from your guests and that you want to share with this audience?
Wow. So the podcast, the Trip Sitting Podcast, so I started that back in October of 2022, pretty much right after I got back from sitting with ayahuasca for the first time in my life. So I flew to Peru, had that experience at a really beautiful retreat center there called Dream Glade. And that completely changed the way that I view myself, that I view the world, that I view other people. And I didn't know anybody in my circle that was really having these deep conversations
Mm-hmm.
about it and exploring it. And so I had been using psychedelics recreationally for close to like 3 to 4 years at that time. And they were very helpful to me. And they've like LSD was the first one that I really connected with and that helped me deal with a lot of anger that I had and just, not enjoying life and being in the moment and realizing
Yeah.
how beautiful things were and how fun things could really be. And so that was really healing. And I did a 5 gram mushroom journey when right after I had COVID. I then had long COVID. I still couldn't taste and smell everything. After about 3 months, I did that 5 gram journey because I was getting depressed. I couldn't taste and smell. That was like, just kind of intuitively, I'm like, I bet this is going to help. And it helped tremendously. That was the first time since I had gotten COVID 3 months before that my taste and smell, I could actually like feel them starting to come back. Like I could
Okay.
feel the neurons start to fire again.
Amazing.
And then it slowly over time did get back to, I'd say probably like 95%.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, that was really powerful, just being able to have that experience, and then also help me deal with a lot of the depression that I was feeling, um, from that, and just from feeling like down and sick. It just wasn't fun.
Hmm.
But that eventually led me to starting Trip Sitting, which I actually started as just a blog before I started the
Okay.
podcast. Um, just to talk about my own experiences with psychedelics, just because at that point I still didn't see a lot of resources out there.
Yeah.
I was like, I bet there are people that are searching for some of this. And then once I had that experience in Peru, I came back, started the podcast, and it's been really amazing. Like I get to meet really incredible people, and obviously a lot of what we have in common is that we use psychedelics.
Yeah.
Not every one of my guests does use psychedelics though, but we're it's it's a lot of curiosity into the human experience.
Hmm.
And I think something that I've learned really just from all my guests is like there is not one type of individual that is curious and asking these questions about like what does it mean to be human, and like searching for more of these like spiritual answers. Everyone I've talked to has come from very different backgrounds for the most part. They're doing different things. They have many different careers. So it's not all the same type of person that's then coming to psychedelics to then ask these questions
Hmm.
and wanting to work more with these substances,
Yeah.
which has been really, really cool to see of having people from all these different backgrounds.
Yeah.
And some people coming at it from more of the spiritual sense, some people coming at it from more of the scientific sense, um, and just seeing how did everybody's path get them here right now.
Uh,
I think it's so cool.
it's very interesting, looking at the human condition from
Mhm.
different perspective, and how psychedelics can sometimes ease the burden of being human, because it's not necessarily a walk in the park every day. And I really like the fact that, to your point, people are coming from different walk of life, because they bring their own knowledge, their own perspective, and you can really, I would say, build a mosaic theory, based on that. So you had many guests. What is the one, two, insights you learned that you really like? Oh my God, I'm going to take that away because that was, and you don't have to give the name of a person if you don't
Mm.
want that. But what are the a few insights that you thought, oh my God, that was really, really valuable for me to know that?
Wow, that's an interesting one because there are so many insights that I think people have come to me with like over the year and a half that I've been doing this now, the 70 something episodes. Um, that like just one of the buckets I would say that a lot of people understand is just acceptance
Yes.
of what is, rather than casting your own judgments on
Mhm.
things that are in your life. Like once you can truly accept what is right in front of you, like who you are as a person, without the judgments of who you want to be, or the judgments of what you think you're supposed to be because society tells you, because anything like that. But like people's real personal change is like stems from that true acceptance. Like
Mhm.
once you're able to get that and feel that, like that's when your journey I think really starts.
Yeah,
That's the beginning, and it's not an easy place to get to.
it is
uh,
very difficult. And yeah,
it's not easy.
and I don't think it's oh my God, I reach acceptance, I'm done. I think, oh, one day you feel you reached it, and the week after you realize, oh my God, I was deluded. So I think it's
Yeah.
more like a journey. What I what I believe and what I've seen with my own and other people journey around me with acceptance, it's a bit difficult to understand first. I think it's the same, I would say, than letting go, surrendering, whatever. And people are like, okay, what are you even talking about?
Yeah, what does that
But,
mean?
yeah, what does it even mean? And what I realized, for me, it was releasing a lot of negative charge I have towards certain people, events, memories maybe as well. And so acceptance doesn't mean that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it was okay. It just means that, okay, you're not trying to change it anymore. I
Yeah,
guess that's
that's
that.
it.
Yeah.
You're looking at things for truly this is as it is, and and that's it. Like
Yeah.
this happened. That's the fact. Everything else is then trying to make sense of it and putting your own opinion on top of it. And that's where the mind starts to get a little
Yeah.
bit messed up is when you start trying to look at it through the lens of your past experiences and
Yeah.
things like
But
that.
I think you're saying something very interesting because the mind, I agree, absolutely. But there is also your emotions and your energy. We tend to
Mhm.
look at ourselves as just a mind, but if you have like still that stress response stuck in your belly for whatever, it
Mhm.
will always override your mind. I'm a big proponent of working on every part, the
Mm.
mind, the body, the emotions, the energy at the same time. Um, because I know for years I worked just on my mind and it was not really moving. And I think psychedelics also help you because it lowers your ego barrier, but also calm your nervous system.
Yeah.
So it helps with this mind body connection. Is it something you saw with your own use of psychedelic, working on everything at the same time, kind of?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I was very similar to you, only living in my mind, not even realizing that there was the connection between mind, body, spirit
Yeah.
beforehand. And once I had that very, very deep journey with ayahuasca that, taught me this is what self-acceptance, this is what self-love truly looks like, that I felt it all in my body. Like it wasn't something that I even made sense of in my mind at the time. It was genuinely a feeling that
Yes,
like, oh, this is it. And my mind was off at that point. It was
exactly.
just feeling it in my body and like feeling truth. It still gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, yeah, and I can feel that as you're saying that. It's really, you feel it in your bones. It's a different level of understanding. Actually, we always refer to the mind, but it's actually when your mind is more on the side, your ego is playing somewhere else. Everything can align. But so you speak obviously about this transformational retreat that has been really like a turning point in your life. And so you are also the founder of Conscious Retreats, which helps clients like you, like me, find and book the perfect retreat center for their plant medicine journey. Can you tell us more about, why do you think it's so necessary to do this vetting? I think I have an idea why, but I would like to hear what you think. And also, again, free advice. And when I say
Mhm.
free, I mean free, also free, obviously, for listeners to look for, when they're interested in doing this type of plant medicine retreat.
Yeah. So I started conscious retreats. Honestly, it was a couple months after I came back from it because my experience looking for a retreat center was just so all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
I had nobody to talk to. Like nobody in my circle had ever done ayahuasca
Hmm.
before. All
Hmm.
my friends
Hmm.
thought I was even crazy for looking into it. Um, so like there was nobody that I could really talk to and reach out to. And there are places online, like there's websites called iAdvisors, there's Retreat Guru, but even then, like it still didn't always feel like I was getting all of the right information, and
Okay.
some of them are obviously going to be very biased. I was doing a lot of research on Reddit, which is honestly probably where I got most of my information, was just
Oh,
through doing
interesting.
research on Reddit and looking
Okay.
at the ayahuasca threads there. But I say all of that to say it was just a very jumbled experience. And even once I did choose the retreat center that I was going to, in my mind it was still like this does feel right, but like I still really have no idea what the hell I'm doing.
Hmm.
And so then when I was there in Peru, I was talking to some people that had gone to retreat centers, and they had okay experiences. They didn't
Okay.
really understand what they were getting themselves into
Hmm.
beforehand,
Hmm.
and so it just made me realize that there's not a lot of good information out there. And for people that are looking to have these experiences, just being able to talk to somebody that has talked to the people at these retreat centers, that has been through these experiences before, that knows what to look like, just
Yeah.
can be really helpful to support you in your journey.
Yeah.
So
Because
I'm,
it is intimidating.
yeah, very.
And you don't know what you don't know. And even if you know, you're never prepared
Yeah.
for what it's going to be. So,
If someone would have just told me that, like, hey, you're not supposed to feel fully prepared for this, like that would have helped me so much, because that's
yes.
something that I do tell people is like, you should be a little scared. Like,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you weren't a little bit scared and had a little bit of anxiety and fear going into
Yeah.
it, like I'd be worried about you as a person, because this is, you know, scary work sometimes. Like, you just, because you don't know what's going to happen. But
Exactly.
being able to hear another person tell you that and be like, listen, these people know what they're doing. They know how to handle these situations, like they've done it before. Like, just having that peace of mind is really helpful.
Yeah. So, what do you see? So, you mentioned that I think it's very important for people to understand, okay, you're never going to be ready.
Hmm.
You want to be informed,
Yeah.
but you will never really be ready. And by ready, what we mean is that you always have this level of nervosity, anxiety, which is normal. It's also respect for the process, which I think is healthy. What are the other things people should be on the lookout when booking a retreat? What are you think the most important, I don't know, red flag or green flag to look
Hmm.
for?
So I'll start with a red flag. If there's any retreat center, like, because usually once you do book a retreat center or end up talking to them, they should want to have a phone call with you.
Hmm.
They
Yeah.
should want to talk to you, or if you want to talk to them and they don't want to talk to you, like that's going to be a red flag.
Hmm. Hmm.
You should be allowed to talk to them and ask questions, and then during that process, you should never feel like you're being sold to. If
Yeah.
a retreat center feels like they're trying to sell you on why you should come to their retreat, or trying to tell you, oh, hey, you should, be doing this medicine and things like that, then there's a little bit of nuance with that last point, but
Yeah.
like, you should never feel like you're being sold to.
Yeah, it's not a hard
um
sell. It's
yeah ex-
information. It's not selling kind of.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, I'm always, if people come to me that are not sure that they want to have this experience, to be completely honest, i'm I usually tell them at that point there's not much that I can help them with, because I don't want to give my incredibly biased opinion about these
Yes.
medicines. And I tell them, like, my opinion is super biased, so
Yeah.
I don't want to lead you in one direction over
Yeah.
another, because
Yeah.
everybody is different. Like, whether or not you should do ayahuasca, that's a very personal decision. Once
It
you've
is.
made
Yeah.
that decision, like,
That's
I can
different.
I can help you find a good retreat center that I think
Yeah.
would be good for you.
Yeah.
But you have to have already made that decision beforehand. And so just making sure that you've done your research there.
Yeah.
Green flags are, I mean, obviously just honesty and transparency,
Yeah.
which sucks that I even have to say that. But in this world that we live in, there are a lot of people that are not fully ethical in the way that they run things, and honesty and transparency. And that's really going to be something that you do have to feel into. Like, does
Hmm.
it sound like somebody that you're talking to is being honest and giving their biased
Yeah.
opinion? If they're super leaning one way or the other, usually there's probably going to be a little bit of bias that's going into the information that they're giving you. So
Yeah.
being able to just tell the truth, as we were talking about, like, say things for exactly what they are, and then let you
Yeah.
make the informed decision from there,
Yeah.
without trying to sway you one way.
I think especially conveying the hard truth
Yeah.
that, it can be difficult on your, mind, body, emotions, obviously. Also that, you don't have a guaranteed results.
Yeah. That's
You're
a big
not,
one.
you're not coming with intention A and tag. Otherwise, we would all do ayahuasca or psilocybin journeys once a week. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, I want that. Oh, let me do my journey. So that's, I think, the big misconception. I'm sure you must see that a lot. And I understand people come back from a trip and they might see like you, oh my God, that was life changing for Cam. It was also life changing because you did a lot of preparation, a lot of integration, like it was not just like this. And the expectations are so high and
Mhm.
so unrealistic, sometimes based on people having had great experience, sometimes based on people who are overstating their experience to make it more exceptional. And there is a bit this, again, false expectations that are fed by now the general psyche of, oh my God, it's going to change your life. So do you see also people who are expecting a total transformation in 3 days?
Yeah, 100%. And those are usually the people that I mean, I'll say pump the brakes. Like
Yeah.
people that ever talk to me and they're like, I want to come on like the very next retreat. Like, when can I go? I'm ready to go tomorrow. It's those people that I'm like, slow down, stop. Why do you feel this way?
Yeah.
Like, why do you feel that you need to do this right now? Have you done any prep work beforehand? Do
Yes,
you
exactly.
understand what is actually involved in this? Because the medicine is it's just going to meet you where you're at,
Hmm.
always. And
Hmm.
if you expect to hear about ayahuasca or hear about mushrooms and then leave the next day to go to a retreat, you haven't done the prep, you haven't done a
Yeah.
lot of work. The medicine's going to meet you right there, and you're probably not going to get much out of it
Hmm. Hmm.
just because you don't fully understand what you're going into. You haven't put that time and energy into your intentions why you want to do this. And
Yeah.
so slowing down is usually one of the best things that I can tell people to do before they do any sort of plant medicine.
Yeah. Well, and I think you hit also on something very important, the preparation and the integration. And to your point, I think a retreat that is not putting the emphasis of, okay, you need to prep, you need to
Hmm.
be ready, and then I'm doing the post
Hmm.
support as well. That's something people need to be careful. I've heard stories where people, even in the city here in Toronto, they go up north one day around lunchtime, they do a psilocybin journey, and then thank you, goodbye. And I'm just like, oh my God. And these people drive back on the
And they
way.
drive back
And,
after.
and I'm just like, okay, that is definitely not, ethical, to say the least. So very, very important if you're listening and watching us and considering to take a journey. Well, first contact CAM because it's going to give you good insight. But second, really think preparation time and
Hmm.
integration time. The journey is just the main act. We usually just talk about the journey, but actually so much more is involved before and after, and it's so important.
Most of the healing that will occur and most of the changes that will happen are going to happen after the journey. Like, it's all in the integration, and to get the most out of the integration you also then have to do a lot of preparation. And so
Exactly.
it's kind of one of those double-edged swords where if you just journey, you know, you're probably not going to change much.
Yeah. And I think the focus has been so much on the journey
Yeah.
that people tend to forget that. If we switch gear a little bit and we're like taking a step back, so where do you see the psychedelic industry in general moving towards? What do you see, are the biggest hurdles really for us to overcome for widespread adoption?
This is a tough one. I think that over time, unfortunately, my view has gotten a little bit more pessimistic on it
Mm-hmm.
because I think trying to fit these medicines into an already broken model is just going to continue to create more chaos, and it's not actually going to help people in the long run.
Are you referring to the healthcare
Yeah.
system or yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm
Not
referring to the current healthcare system as
yeah.
it is in Western society,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
specifically the United States, but other modern societies too. And one of the biggest things that I think we have the opportunity to do is take a step back and actually look at it, because this is the third wave of psychedelics here, that now we see all the research, we see that it works, like we understand a little bit more what's going on. I think it's giving people an opportunity to look at, well, what are some of the other problems within the system that already exists that can account for some of these issues that we are
Mm-hmm.
seeing. But I think one of the biggest pieces of advice that I will give people is that finding a community and tapping into
Yeah.
the community of people that are using these substances I think that's the single most important thing that you can do.
Hmm.
I think just doing it in the healthcare model
Yeah,
of just, going to a retreat center and then, usually and I know some really great retreat centers that are out in Oregon that are already operating right now and they're having really good success, and people that are here in Denver that are also, working with these substances and doing one-on-one facilitation and things. But it's the people that tap into the community afterwards to help
exactly.
with the integration and get that support and be around people that are also having these experiences. Those are the people that I see that are actually making the most positive changes. Because
Hmm.
if you look back to indigenous cultures, these substances were done within community. They
Yeah,
were not done, you just go off, do this with somebody, and then you come back and never talk about it again.
yeah, yeah,
It's part of your life. And so being
yeah,
able to make this a part of your life and um is is part of the integration again, is being within that community and having that support. So I do think the healthcare system can provide some at least framework for using the substances and having
hmm
the journey. But I think where they're going to just completely miss the ball is going to be in that post support.
the integration.
And
Yeah,
that's going to be up to people like us that have, that are talking about it and creating community,
yeah,
and just being active. But
yeah,
also too, I worry about some companies that are just taking just the psilocybin and putting that into a pill and giving you pure psilocybin
yeah.
versus, being able to actually take the mushroom, because there's all these alkaloids and other natural chemicals that are inside of the mushroom itself that are not going to be present within just the molecule of psilocybin.
Well, and like the overall challenge I see, which I think that's what you meant with a broken system, that is very, oh, you have a headache, let me give you
Yeah.
Advil, you have a belly ache, let me give you a Tums, where there is no mindfulness associated with what you're doing. It's like you're in total autopilot, and you're you gave your power away to someone else who told you take one or two a day, and then that's the magic pill you're taking.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the opposite of what plant medicine is. It's empowering you. And I
Hmm.
think the traditional healthcare system has disempowered people.
Hmm.
So that's also why it's such a different philosophy and approach.
Yeah, I had this conversation yesterday with somebody that's a microdosing coach. And they were telling me how one of their clients, they were working with a microdose, and then, about a week or two later, they came back to my friend and said, "Hey, I don't think this is working at all." And then, my friend started asking questions, and they got into it, and then the person was like, "Yeah, like I'm not feeling better. Like yesterday, I was on the freeway, and I literally just felt all these emotions come over me, and I had to pull over and start crying." And that means it's working. Like
Yeah.
that's the point, is to feel everything. Like we're
So
so
that's the thing.
used to, yeah, exactly. We're so used to getting like the pill just to feel better and to feel happy, and we think that
Yeah.
that's what we want. But
Yeah.
being human is feeling all of it. It's
Exactly.
feeling the sadness, the grief, the depression, the
Yeah.
anxiety, and it's having a relationship with each of those
Yeah.
emotions, not
Yeah.
just feeling happiness and joy all the time.
Exactly. Which is again another autopilot and fake conditioning. So,
Mhm.
what is your own psychedelic practice? Are you microdosing? You're doing some journey? Do you have a routine, or are you always evolving?
I would say I'm always evolving for sure.
Okay.
So I don't have a microdose practice currently. I have in the past. I just actually journeyed with ayahuasca about 6 weeks ago,
Oh,
and
okay.
so that was I guess the second time that I had interacted with that medicine, and it was pretty powerful, and
Yeah.
a lot has come up, and so I think that I'm definitely still integrating that. So I don't have any plans for another bigger journey anytime
Yeah.
soon. But I will say I do recreationally use mushrooms. And
Okay.
so like and just and that I guess that would be a anywhere from like a micro to a museum dose, anywhere from let's say like 0.2 to a gram.
Okay.
Like when I was just out camping over the weekend, and I did that one of the days, and it just helps me get connected, but it's not, the full journey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
probably the thing that I do most consistently.
Okay.
And it is definitely just ever evolving. Like LSD was the first medicine for me that really helped me understand things and get to the point that I needed to be at. And then I had that deep journey with mushrooms, and then it was ayahuasca.
Yeah.
Um, I've had some really good journeys with MDMA as well. So I'm a fan of all of them.
That's great. I mean,
I'll
I
say.
think that's good to know. I'm very partial to mushrooms. I really love mushrooms. Work very well for me. I'm going actually on a journey mid June. So my
Oh,
last one was 18 months ago. Like you, I like to live because I think the integration
yeah.
is important. So when I hear people going every 3 months, I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? Like you're not even gone. You're already back.
Uh-huh.
So I'm excited about that. And I usually stop microdosing
Hmm.
before my journey to get ready and after for a while as well. So that's how I manage it. And I know we're already almost out of time. Time always flies when we speak together. Do you have any advice you want to share with the audience or any parting thoughts you would like to leave our listeners and viewers with?
Yes, I do. And that is the fact that we are all already healed and we're all already perfect. This medicine doesn't show us anything that we don't already know. This medicine helps us come back to that sense of remembering.
Hmm. Hmm.
And from almost everyone that I've talked to, like that's rang very, very true to them. So I do feel pretty confident saying that as a general rule for humans, is that our flaws and our imperfections and the things that happen to us, they are what makes us human and they are what makes us perfect. And so being able to love ourselves for all of that and who we truly are, having that true deep sense of self-love, like that's the most healing thing you could ever do.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm not sure anyone can top it off. So we're going to stop here. Thank you so much, Cam, for sharing your thoughts. Again, I recommend everyone check out the Trip Sitting podcast. It's really fantastic. If you want to go on a retreat, a plant medicine retreat, contact Cam as well because he's going to be able to give you great insight. So thank you again, Cam, for your time and your insight. It was fabulous to have you today.
Thank you so much, Peggy. It has been truly a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Much love.